The EU Parliament narrowly passed a law to help tackle climate change and restore biodiversity. It's called the Nature Restoration Law and aims to return 20% of land and sea to its natural state by 2030. Big farmers attempted to block the bill. Small farmers supported it. Here's a look at what it may mean for them and the climate.
On Benjamin Franz's Market Garden farm in East Germany, the focus lies on healthy soil. Here, fruit trees and various crops grow side by side.
There's always one bed and the next bed. And in between, always a little pathway. And it's not a big plot of corn or whatever you can imagine that you see in our landscapes.
It's some of this biodiversity that the European Commission wants to gear towards on bigger farms as part of a bill to stop ecosystem collapse. Its proposal for the EU Nature Restoration Law plans to rehabilitate 20% of the bloc's land and sea areas by 2030. And that includes agricultural lands, which are often degraded. The bill would impose targets on its member states to re-wet peatlands, huge carbon sinks that are sometimes drained for agricultural activities. It would also set goals to diversify landscape features, promote sustainable soil use, and increase pollinators and farmland birds. Franz says he would welcome such targets, but he sees why it would be hard for big farms to implement them.
We've done it here without the law, on our own, and it was a challenge. And if I imagine to do this tenfold or another scale, like it's a job that doesn't give you right away something back.
Europe's largest farmer associations have protested the restoration law. They claim that it would reduce land for agricultural activity and threaten food supplies. But 6,000 scientists have signed an open letter that climate change and the loss of biodiversity are the real threats to food security. The German Farmers Association also says the bill relies on too many bans and doesn't offer enough support.
Cooperative nature conservation means relying on voluntary measures, on incentives, because we have economic restrictions that have to be compensated for.
The European Commission says that there are various funds to help farmers transition to more sustainable farming, and that it is crucial this happen now. For Franz, that would be a welcome change. If the area surrounding his farm were restored, this would help his crops grow even better.
Let's bring in Ursula. She's a biodiversity project manager for Greenpeace in Central and Eastern Europe. Good to have you on the show. The EU lawmakers passed the Nature Restoration Law by a razor-thin margin, an important step towards fulfilling the EU's Green Deal. But what needs to happen now?
Well, on the one hand, the Nature Restoration Law brings hope for Europe, for Europe's nature, because it was not rejected. But it's on the other hand, the law comes at a very high cost. The European Parliament passed many amendments which could limit the actual effect of the law on biodiversity. And the law can only help to reverse the alarming state of nature in Europe if it's strengthened in its next steps. And that being the negotiations between European member states, the Parliament, and the Commission. Of course, each member state will have as well opportunity to translate the objectives into ambition action by preparing and carrying out national restoration plans.
What do you say to those who argue that this law could undermine food security and fuel inflation?
Well, although the state of European nature is it's quite dramatic, with 80% of nature being in very poor condition, it's sad to see that members of European Parliament don't feel the urgency to act upon that and are actually spreading misinformation, many misinformation, such as that the law is a threat to food security. We all know that only healthy agricultural ecosystems provide food security in the future. So, those claims have been debunked many times, not only by the Commission and environmental NGOs, but also by a scientist community.
How can the farmers, now fearing for their livelihood, be brought on board? Will financial aid be enough, or is there more that needs to be done?
I think that it's important for the farmers to realize that they have benefit with restoring nature, not only because of the healthy ecosystems bring food for the future and that their future incomes are secure, but there are also many other economic incentives that the nature restoration law brings. Based on European Commission, every euro invested in restoration brings more than €8 in economic value back.
Ursula of Greenpeace, thank you so much.
Thank you.